Hi freaks! Welcome to my first video in years. I'm sorry it's taken so long, and I promise that now it's going to be a regular thing. A lot has happened in the last few years. In terms of archaeology, I finished my Bachelor of Archaeology, started honours, and then jumped ship to a master's. So I'm currently about halfway through a master's in professional archaeology with a thesis in data management and GIS, specifically on a hominin-bearing paleo cave in South Africa, which has been dated to around 2 million years old. Aside from that, I've travelled heaps, I've worked on a bunch of excavations, and so hopefully I'll be able to bring you some videos about that stuff too. So for my first video, I thought I'd do a little recap of a recent highlight in archaeology news from last week. Just because if it's true, I thought it was cool, but it's also a good example of why people need to publish data. So here's the gist of it. Saudi Arabia's Commission for Tourism and National Heritage last week announced that their archaeology team, in conjunction with Oxford University from the UK, have found the oldest human bone, a 90,000-year-old phalange from the middle finger, at the Tars Al Ghada site near the northern Saudi town of Tamar. The project is part of the Green Arabia project, which is a Saudi-British undertaking for survey and excavation in order to implement environmental and archaeological studies of lots of historical and prehistoric sites near ancient lakes in the Nafud Desert. And they started working on this project in 2012. According to current theories, Homo sapiens emerged in Africa around 200,000 years ago and first migrated out of Africa around 60,000 years ago. So if this bones dating is confirmed, it means that humans made it to the Arabian Peninsula 30,000 years before what is currently believed. There are two schools of thought on the route that was taken. One was Egypt and Sinai, and the other was through Ethiopia and Saudi Arabia. So if this finding is confirmed, it may also establish the route that humans took out of Africa. Saudi Prince Sultan bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz announced the new finding during a recent speech at the French Académie des Beaux-Arts, contradicting the current out of Africa hypothesis. This 90,000-year-old bone doesn't really explain the curious statement made by Ali Gaban, who is the head of the Saudi Commission for Tourism and National Heritage. And he said that this finding proves that human life dates back 325,000 years. I'm not really sure how. A lot of the articles that broke this news talked about the oldest bone that's ever been found, which was found last year actually, that belongs to the lineage that developed into Homo sapiens. So the Homo genus. And that was found in Ethiopia and has been dated to 2.8 million years old. And it's a mandible, a jawbone. That predated other fossils by 400,000 years, but not from Homo sapiens directly. So what are the problems with this 90,000-year-old bone? The first problem, and the main problem, is that nothing has been released about the dating methods used to date the bone to 90,000 years. Claims for anything in science need to be backed up by evidence. Your methods and your data need to be released so that other professionals can go over it to either refute what you've said or to support it. Without knowing the survey and excavation methods used or how they got the 90,000-year-old date specifically, we can't really be certain of it, which is not to say that it's false or that Homo sapiens didn't leave Africa earlier than 60,000 years ago. We just need more information. I personally feel a bit iffy about a lot of facts about human evolution. My reason is simple. Only a fraction of humanity's deep past has been preserved in very specific environmental conditions. And then only a fraction of that has been discovered and studied. So to me, it's sort of like trying to put together a 1,000-piece puzzle with only 250 of the pieces. There's just not quite enough information yet. And we need to keep studying, keep looking, keep researching, and eventually we'll get closer to it. Because of this finding, I thought my next video would be on the out of Africa theory and the alternative multi-regional continuity model. Because of this finding, I thought my next video would be on the out of Africa theory and the alternative multi-regional continuity model, and all of the debates and controversies surrounding these. So thank you for watching, and hopefully I will see you next time. Bye.